This is a Tiger Handheld electronic system.
Think of it as a low-budget Game Boy.
Game Boy was crushing the market in the 90s and almost every kid had one. Nintendo was getting bigger as a game company and you weren't one of the cool kids unless you had a Game Boy.
But they were expensive, coming in at $89.99.
And not everyone could afford that.
And that was perfect timing for Tiger Electronics to jump into the ring and offer a cheaper solution.
Each unit contains a fixed image printed onto the handheld that can be seen through the screen. Static images then light up individually in front of the background that represent characters and objects, similar to numbers on a calculator or digital clock. They had licenses to a ton of games that were on the original NES, like Double Dragon, Mega Man, and many more.
But never Zelda.
And with the release of the new Zelda, Tears of the Kingdom, that got me thinking.
But what if I can make a Tiger Handheld?
But in the style of Tears of the Kingdom, one of the most anticipated Zelda games to come out. So here's what I needed.
I'm gonna need my own Tiger Handheld system as a donor game. So I went to a place where I knew I could get retro toys. eBay.
But so many of these were so expensive, and most were missing the battery cover. But I came across a listing from toy company Hasbro. Hasbro has recently re-released some versions of Tiger games from the 90s as a throwback.
Gamers like me remember playing these growing up, so I was able to score this X-Men brand new from Hasbro.
I tried to open the plastic containing the system without damage. I had seen people use nail polish remover to open Matchbox cars, so I gave it a try. I dabbed some on a cloth and even poured some to soak into the cardboard, but I had no luck and just ended up tearing into the package like I was 10 years old and just got a new one from Walgreens.
Okay, now with this thing out of the package, I could get to designing what this thing's gonna look like.
I busted out my scanner so I could scan the image of the handheld to get the exact measurements of the graphic that I needed to design that would go over this one. I not only wanted to design the game itself, but to help put this build over the top, I thought it would be awesome if I could redesign the packaging for the product as well.
This way it could look like an item you would go to the store and actually purchase.
And while I'm disassembling this, I want to give a quick shout out to my Patreon supporters. Without your help, none of this would be possible. Link below if you want to join. Alright, back to the build. And I also needed to design what this system would look like. Luckily, I'm pretty good with Photoshop, and I was able to find some images online, but as recording this video,
the game has yet to be released.
Sad.
So the images I'm using will be limited to what has already been shown by Nintendo, but that didn't stop me from getting creative. Now that it was all designed, we needed to print it out. I chose to use water slide decals because of how thin they are. You print your image on them and then add some clear coat over the top, sealing in the ink. Once that dries, you can then submerge it into water and you can slide the decal off the paper backing onto the surface you want.
The only downside to this is they print so thin, they're prone to tearing and ripping, so I had to be careful.
The graphics were on the system and it was looking great, but I still needed to get the box put together. Using the same technique as I did for the game system, I scanned the box into my computer and started to redesign what I think it should look like. I didn't want to add too much to it and make it look cluttered. Maybe just one scene from the game with Link in it. And for the back of the box, I had to make sure to add the logo somewhere and a short description of the game. Now I added a few screenshots, but these are from the Switch version, just because I thought it looked nicer. But for the actual game, I ended up taking a shot from the game and pixelating it, giving it a green tint, so it would look like a game if it was on Tiger Handheld.
Now, I certainly have some skills, but I unfortunately don't possess the skills to make this game actually play Tears of the Kingdom.
I know the internet is gonna hate me for not taking this build to the next level, but I am limited to the skills I have. Perhaps it can be done, but this build is strictly gonna be display item to be in your game room.
Who actually plays all these games? I thought we buy new games just to, put them on the shelf and that's that.
In order to assemble the custom box, I printed on photo paper and used a glue stick to get it to stick to the original box. This way it still would hold the rigidity of the original packaging. I think I should change to maybe a matte finish for the next one, but overall I think this came out pretty good.
Alright, the last step is to take this and put it into the plastic housing and then attach it to the packaging, but not before we show you guys some awesome B-roll.
So here is The Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom on Tiger Handheld. The nostalgia hits hard with this one because I spent so much time playing these electronic game systems as a kid, and to combine that with something I love like the Zelda series is just awesome. I wanted to pass the nostalgia onto you guys as well. I will be making a limited run of 10 of these that will be for sale in a first come first service basis. You can follow me on any of my socials and shoot me a DM there if you're interested.
So I'll be implementing different techniques in the next batch that I do, so consider this one the prototype.
The whole water slide decal was more of a pain to work with, so I'll be using sticker paper instead for the graphics and box art. I will also be using my silhouette cameo to cut out the graphics with machine precision, so everything has a nice clean edge and stays consistent. With these added upgrades to the build, I feel comfortable selling them to the select few that want one for their collection.
So have you guys picked up the new Zelda game, and are you enjoying it?
I can't imagine how basic the gameplay would have to be if it was actually on this device. But that's the joy of making something, using your imagination. Some parents couldn't afford us to get a new $90 Game Boy to play video games on the go, so we were stuck with these $15 handheld systems instead. But you know, we made do with it and enjoyed it because of the properties behind it. The Double Dragon, Mortal Kombat, and yes, even now, The Legend of Zelda. One of the best Nintendo series ever to come out, and I have that all wrapped up in a complete 90s nostalgia package for my game room.
And if you guys enjoyed this Zelda video, you should check out this video where I make a custom Zelda Tears of the Kingdom skateboard
using water slide decals again. And if you're not already, consider subscribing to the channel. It really helps me out. And as always, I'm RussLyman, and keep your world fun bit by bit. I'll see you next video.